All right, let's do this thing. Okay. We're going to give it a little. I did no form of promo whatsoever today. And I've been switching the routine up on everyone, so I'm going to be a little patient. Going to give time for some people to hop in. Slowly but surely. Charge my phone a little. Yes. Matt, Michael, let's go. Yo, top floor. Let's go. Let's make it happen. Elliot, what's up? Elliot, I really appreciate you always showing love in like literally everything I do. You know, it can be tough feeling like it's me against the world type of thing, posting all this stuff, but it means a lot. Top floor says it's 2:34 here in Amsterdam. That's gnarly, dude. It's okay. Maybe I'll be able to rock you to sleep. A little lullaby with some spiritual yapping. We're gonna get it rolling. I'm still here. I'm just getting something on my computer. All right, ladies and gentlemen. I'm trying to. All right, my phone charged 8% in the span of 2 minutes. Not bad. We'll give it a little longer. Are you guys good with the 5:30 p.m. PST streaming time? Let me know. Is that a good time? 6:30 p.m. is normally when I do like a bunch of community calls. So I'm trying to keep that spot reserved for like the workshops and the paid communities and stuff like that. But 5:30 is still kind of. Sean says 6:30 generally is better. I get that. I'm trying to set like a new like consistent spot. And I think this is good for me, right? Because this is technically my work, and my work inherently is after hours sometimes, right? Especially going live and making content and stuff. So I also like to have my evening too. That's kind of why I'm bringing it down. All right, let me get the chat up on my phone, and we'll kind of go from there. I don't know why, you guys, was my thumbnail for the live stream like blurry? For some reason, every time I download it and put it on a live stream, it's just not as quality as when I do it for the actual videos. I don't know why, but not the end of the world. Guys, this is going to be a good one. This is going to be a really good one. So my goal tonight is going to show you. Michael says, I don't even look. I just show up to the spirit vibes. You're amazing. That's what we want, Michael. That's what we want, Michael. I want to cover why devotion is the gateway to awakening. This is a big one, ladies and gentlemen. This is a really important one. Now, I want to cover this on stream because devotion is our ability to surrender the illusions of the ego. We're saying, Gabriella says, say hi to me. Hey, Gabriella, how's it going? Thanks for tuning in. Now, for most people, devotion is soft or emotional, right? That can be the charge associated with it. Now, my goal is to flip that concept for you because it is truly the fuel for spiritual transformation. Yeah, Jay says love is devotion, right? Devotion is unconditional, right? So we'll look at some traits of this. We're going to go devotion is unconditional, right? We're surrendering our current state of being in alignment with a greater truth. When we surrender something to a greater truth, we're allowing something bigger than ourselves to guide us, right? Now, this inherently is the core of spiritual transformation. Because what is it? Now, awakening itself is not a peaceful process all the time. It is a death of an old version of us. Gabriella. Devotion is commitment and sacrifice. You are devoted to this transformation unconditionally, right? Now, our ability to truly get to this place comes through awakening ourselves to the divinity, the absolute truth within all of us and beyond all of us, right? Because if we look at the nature of the immaterial source, it is beyond all physical creation. So it is inherently outside the construct of its creation because everything is manifesting through it. And we need to be devoted to overcoming the ego's need to cling on and find an ego ironclad strong idea of God. Think about it. It's so lonely and painful to embark on this journey alone. It really is so lonely and painful to embark on this journey alone. I want you to drop a 1 on the chat if you find it hard to do things just for yourself. And I want you to drop a 1 if you find out that love and your connection to the people around you is the true meaning, if it's the true source of motivation and creation. Let me know. Let me know. Now, we're going to build off of this. Gabriella says, I let go of my attachments every day. That's what you need to do. Now, what devotion is we'll keep it simple. One, the ego seeks to control and define God, which gives us false idols. Everyone, all religions want a creator that fits their definition, right? That fits their story of how they want to live. But true devotion is surrendering your attachment to these false idols, surrendering your attachment to need it to fit a certain construct to give you peace in this life, right? Because what happens is we want an ego, or the ego, I'm just going to say we, ego. Wants a God, we can control. Right, this is a big thing, ladies and gentlemen. Because our ego has a need to seek control, seek our ability to latch on to an experience, places expectations, attachments upon an outcome. When it does not go our way, we suffer. Now, true divinity is beyond human concepts. It's non-dual. It's all-encompassing. And it's ever present. We'll break that down a little further. Break that down a little further. So we got non-dual, ever present. How many of you guys know what non-duality is? We've talked about it a few times, right? Let me know in the chat if you remember. Michael says, is it being okay whether things are going your way or not? Fundamentally. That's one way we overcome duality, right? Yes, it's this and that, right? That's why it's all-encompassing. It's God and the devil. It's good and bad. It's black and white. It's hot and cold. This is really what divinity is. Gabriella said, I notice this is a path of transformation much more than a path of learning to acquire things. Thank you for noticing that. This is my strategy, right? So when I post the YouTube videos that blow up, I'm like, how I use these 3 Joe Dispenza principles to manifest $1.3 million. But over the course of my content, you realize that I talk nothing about attaining. I really do talk about letting go of the need for things, because then you immediately have the experience you are looking for. I get it. There are things we want on our journey, and that's okay to pursue them. That's okay to have goals, to make a certain amount of money, have a certain amount of financial security, travel and see the world. But those things cannot be dependent upon your need to get that and then feel happy, get that and then feel peace, because then your entire experience will be suffering. We don't want that. We do not want that. Gabriella says, in my past, it was all about manifesting. Now, here's what I'd say. This information, yeah, Michael, no dependency is non-duality. Now, there's levels to it, right? So don't try and stress yourself out trying to understand the entirety of the concept. Everything is dual. Like, everything has a duality, right? The only reason we have a concept of tall is because we have a concept of short. The only reason we have a concept of hot is because we have the concept of cold. So duality is a construct in the material creation. Now, to truly understand divinity, you need to understand that it is all-encompassing. It is always present. That's that quantum field Joe Dispenza talks about. It's the pool of consciousness. It's non-dual because it is beyond all creation. It exists outside of creation itself. It was there before the material world was created, which means that all our concepts of duality that were collapsing, like even I even got the colors, the duality, right? The things with our eyes that we see that keep us stuck in duality, once you're able to overcome this, you're able to experience higher levels of awareness because you're not bound by a lower frame of awareness, by a lower state of consciousness. There we go. Drop a 1 if this is making sense so far. Drop a 1 if you're starting to see how the divine essence is beyond the world of creation. It's beyond our concepts of the God and devil. It's beyond the black and white. It's beyond the hot and cold. It's beyond the good and bad. The usual suspects. I really appreciate you guys engaging with me. Because without the community, without you guys, then I'm just a heretic standing in my room talking to a computer screen, talking to a camera. So I really appreciate your guys' engagement. It means a lot. So I just want to send that love your way. All right, now I need to break down a path that you guys are going to walk on this journey. Sean, I'm glad you love the live stream so much. You guys, full transparency, I would honestly rather live stream like this than just make YouTube content. Like, I would prefer to come on and stream with you guys for a few hours because there's so much more energy in the creative process when I get to do it with you guys, right? So I would much rather stream. I would much rather do this. Sean says, okay, do it. I gotta get back. I gotta get a routine back, right? Like, we used to have like 100-something people like watching the stream, and that was when I had like a more consistent schedule. Like, people would know that I'd be on. Like, watch. I bet you around 40 minutes, we're gonna have like double, triple the amount of viewers in here. Because sometimes that's just how it goes. Sometimes that's just how it goes. So you guys, I had this revelation. Hypothetically, everything we experience, all of our external things that we've uncovered, right? It has been through an internal frame of perception. Think about that. Every experience categorized or captured came from someone's inner awareness. Like, think about it. Nature existed before we placed a label on it. But the label we placed on it was only man-made. So the reason I say that is because even external religion is a man-made concept. But think about it. Why don't we just skip to the good part where we go within? Because the inner path is experience. And the external religion is belief. How many of you, drop a 1 in the chat if you guys have had a spiritual experience? Like, if you felt a connection to a greater source, just through living. It could be in anything. Like, it's at the randomest moments. How many of you guys have had a spiritual experience? Right? That's why you guys are on this pursuit of information. You guys have experienced something and you're like, what the fuck? That goes against everything that I was taught. That's what happened to me. That's what happened to me. Michael said, today one happened. That's great. But think about it. When you have an experience, that knowledge and experience can create wisdom. But if you believe, it's just reading surface level information. So for everyone that comes into the Ascension workshops, the first thing I tell them is we're leaving all theory at the doorstep. Because the ultimate goal is experience. Now, real faith isn't in ideas or idols, right? Real faith isn't in ideas or idols, but it's in aligning with love, compassion, and surrender. Compassion and surrender. This is the inner path. Now, if you guys agree with me, I want you to drop a 4 in the chat. Because in my own personal experience, I have learned that no thing in the external world can fill an internal void. No thing in the external world, no amount of followers on social media, no amount of viral videos, no amount of fast cars I get to drive, no amount of money I have will ever be able to compensate a lack of connection to something greater than me. This is why this information is so important. Because you will never stop looking for something externally if you don't do the work internally. That's the truth, ladies and gentlemen. And I'm reminded of it constantly. All our negative habits come from our need to numb ourselves from the moment. I just did a 60-hour fast. I started Sunday night and I broke my fast this morning. So 60 hours. And I realized how many little impulses I have are to distract myself from the present moment. But if I'm trying to distract myself from the present moment, then I'm stripping myself of my power. I'm stripping myself out of what I'm connected to. We got Samuel back. Yes, sir. Jaya says, do you work out while you fast? Not like crazy. Like I'll just walk, get my body moving. Like yesterday I did 20 minutes of Stairmaster and the sauna for 10 minutes. So like not like a crazy workout. And I made sure to be ultra hydrated. All I drink on my fast is water with electrolytes and black coffee sometimes. So that's my fasting strategy, right? But you guys, this is the difference in the path. Jeff, what's up, my friend? Welcome back. You guys, this is the difference. You can have the experiences you're looking for through going within, through removing the blocks, through doing the work and being like, hey, like, why am I preventing myself from being happy? Why am I preventing myself from having success? Because there is no thing in the external world getting in your way. It's only your perception allowing you to do it. Gabriella says, could you talk about pendulums and how we fall for ideologies that are not really ours unconsciously as an egoic strategy to not work on ourselves? Yeah, so that's kind of what I was just describing, right? Energy pendulums is from Vladim Zeland, right? The guy that created reality transurfing. All right, the best way I can describe it is politics. Think about it. When an administration goes into office, let's say a blue administration goes into office, the energy pendulum swings this way. But then we still find reasons for their stuff to be wrong. So then the energy pendulum swings back this way to a red administration. Then what happens is we're going to be like, there's even issues with that. And then it swings back this way. So it's a never-ending swing of energy because it's duality, right? An emotional and energetic charge goes this way, which means it comes back this way. That's what's going on. And we're just looking for things in the external world to place blame on. Like that's kind of the ego's job, right? That's why I call it the mirror principle. Because we're projecting our subconscious mind. You guys, if you think about it, you are projecting your internal frequency upon the external world. You are really projecting your thoughts and beliefs, your ideologies about the world on everyone and everything you come across. That's why the ultimate goal is surrender, is because we'll never not do that. The ego will never not do that. You guys, my actual goal is to have no thoughts. I want to have no thoughts because then I have no resistance. I have no need to change the present moment. Which is a perfect segue. You guys, this is a perfect segue. If there's anything you guys need to take from this, it's this right here. All right. So we got now, I'm guilty. I've been here. I've been that spiritual individual on the journey where it's like, I need to read the next book. I need the next piece of knowledge, right? I need it. I need it. I need it. The ultimate goal is to surrender into a state of being. This is really what you're trying to do. Because it's not about more rituals. More practices. More books. You want to know what it's really about? To go from doing to being. To surrender. That's because being precedes knowing. All right, I got 22 of you in the chat. What does this mean? Tell me right now. What does being precedes knowing mean? What does being precedes knowing mean? Shelly says, hey, sorry I'm late. Shelly, what is it? Like 2 a.m. over there? What does it mean? Being precedes knowing. Sean says, be first, then do. Partially. Now I want you guys to think about this. This is what I just said about nature. Nature exists before we place a label on it. That means nature, the qualities of nature are being, they're existing, they're operating as they have been divinely created to do before we placed a label upon it. Right? This is to know. This is to be. So the whole reason we want to know things is so we can change our state of being. But guess what? That's the paradox. Is knowing more rituals, more practices, and more books is still not practicing it. It's what Gabriella was saying is we look for a reason not to work on ourselves. Oh, maybe this ritual will save me. Maybe this practice will save me. Maybe this book will save me. I hope you're good. It says, if you pull the beanie all the way down, can you still see through it? No, but that would be cool. That would be cool. You guys like the Spider-Man beanie? I like it. Think about it. Our goal is to surrender the need to do, and then by default, we're in a state of being. This is what you guys are looking for. I promise you. Just trust me. Just trust me. This is what you're looking for. Because think about it. Shelley is a perfect example. Now, Shelley had a pretty crazy manifestation story, and I'm going to keep that private. Right? But, Shelley, what were you really doing? Did you read more books? Did you do more rituals? Did you do more practices? Or did you surrender and you just realized everything is divinely working out in your favor? Right? Shelley did not read more rituals, read more books, do more practices. She surrendered into a state of being. Samuel Asafe says, what is the way to end thoughts? So the first step in that process is to meditate. Your goal with meditation is to see thoughts that come in your mind as streams of clouds. They're going to float by out of frame eventually if you do not fight them. But what you resist will persist. So if you're like, why do I have these thoughts? Then that's the thing that keeps the thoughts coming, because you just thought a new thought. They're resistance. They're judgment. This is why you have to meditate, because you understand what the silence is. Now, when you do it long enough, you become a more seasoned veteran, and you're able to surrender in the moment. Surrender in daily action. That's the evolution of it. Sorry, I'm yawning. Now, I want to kind of build off this, right? So meditation, prayer, they're only useful if your intention is pure. You guys, you need to meditate and you need to pray, but I want you guys to go like this. I want you to be like, God, I want you to take all my worries. I want you to take all my stresses. I am merely here to surrender to you. I am merely here to surrender to you. I'm here to be returned to my true nature, to connect with the natural flow that is, and no longer get in the way of my success, my happiness, my abundance. Don't get obsessed with the form. You guys, this is the cheat code. All right. There always comes a point where we go off script, right? So we're stumbling upon that point very quickly. This is everyone's favorite part, where we just let it cook. All right, ladies and gentlemen, this is where we get into it. at the subatomic level. All right, I hope you're good. It says, what is consciousness? We're about to get into it, don't worry. This is a subatomic particle, okay? Let's really think of that word, subatomic. If you really think about it, it's beyond material. Because it's beyond material, it's a wave of energy that collapses into a particle of matter. Okay, now we're going to dive into this a little deeper, but first, I want you to drop a 1 in the chat if you understand this on a fundamental level. If you understand that this is the paradox, it exists both as energetic potential and a 3D particle. Drop a 1 in the chat. Drop a 1 in the chat. This is important to understand. All right, there we go. Now, we had the question, what is consciousness? Screenshot that with your brains. Screenshot that with your brains for me. I want you guys to think of this as like an unconditioned pool of energy. There's infinite potential in here. And there's infinite potential because nothing exists yet. It's only information. Right? And this information is waiting to go from this energetic wave, right? This potential to this particle of matter. Consciousness. That's an insane question to ask. But fundamentally, consciousness is this pool of energy. It is your awareness. It is your awareness before you collapse something upon it. And the best way I can describe this to you is with the statement, I am blank. Why do you think in the biblical text they said, God said, I am that I am, the great I am? Because I want you guys to look for the metaphors, right? I am is awareness. Because think about it. Saying I am is becoming conscious of a state. You are observing an experience. That's how a wave goes from particle to matter. We need to observe. When we observe an experience, right? Let's say we're going to observe this reality right here. It becomes that particle. Think about it. When you're saying, I am sad, you're choosing that reality of the infinite potentials to exist. Look at what Gabriella just said. I've been accepting all the bad emotions that I feel, and once I do, they disappear. That's what surrender is. First of all, congratulations on that. 2, the goal with something like that, Gabriella inherently gave herself a positive experience, even though it started off as a negative one. Drop a 1 in the chat if you guys want to be able to transmutate any negative experience into a positive one. Drop a 1 in the chat if you want to turn all your losses into wins. If you want to turn all your silver into gold, yes, Paul, fundamentally the I am collapses infinite potential. Think about it. I am strong. I just collapsed a state of awareness. The more consistently I hold something in my awareness. All right. Drop a 2 if you guys have taken a mental screenshot of this because we need to move on. It's coming. Drop a 2. You drop the 2. I can't stop the flow. It's just happening. So even though you guys can visually see these energy signs with your eyes, it's still technically no thing, right? Because it's just potential. It's immaterial. It's spirit. These are all the traits of it. The squiggles, they're like the energy sign. They're the energy sign. The bolt. Now, why is this so important to understand? Paul said, I am collapses infinite potential. So hold these traits in your mind. We have consciousness, awareness. You guys, this is all the same stuff. Do not get it twisted. This is all the same stuff. They're just different metaphors for it, right? So I am collapses the infinite potential. Blank. If this is your awareness and you have experience A in your awareness and experience B out of your awareness, then you are only collapsing experience A through your time, energy, and attention. Because your time, energy, and attention is your awareness. So if you guys want to manifest, you need to be cautious about what you hold in your awareness. If you hold in your awareness, all right, you guys ready to have your mind blown? All right. Drop an A in the chat if you guys have something you want to manifest. If you have something you want to experience in this lifetime, drop an A in the chat. Let me know. Drop an A in the chat. I know there are more of you that have something you want to experience. Now, I also pose the question, how many of you guys are sometimes worried that it's not happening, right? It's not all the time. It's not all the time. But sometimes you're like, hey, option B, it's not happening. Drop a B in the chat if sometimes you still experience some worry and doubt. It could be just 0.01% of the time. Drop a B in the chat. I'm curious. I want to know. Okay, Shelly sometimes worries. Sean sometimes worries. Paul sometimes worries. Well, guess what, ladies and gentlemen? Your resistance of the experience you do not want to have takes your conscious awareness off your manifestation and places it upon B. So then you start manifesting B. It was a trick question. It was a trick question. It was a trick question. Now, think about it. You need to figure out how to turn that into a positive experience. Exactly, Shelly. Exactly. Once you catch yourself doing this, you have to restore your awareness to A. Yes, Shelly, you can change. And guess what? What was the first thing I said about the divinity? Guess what? If in your awareness, you have all these little B's, you have all these little B experiences, and you're like, yeah, I'm worried, but I know this is part of the journey. I know I can correct myself. Like Shelly and Gabrielle are saying, I can turn it around. I can turn it around. Then these inherently become A's. Because you're still on the path. You still transmutated something into it. Then we have more A energy. Drop a 1 in the chat if this is making sense. Drop a 1 in the chat if you're going to start realizing that everything that's happening on your path is to serve your growth. And it is your job to find a harmonious aspect. It is your job to find a harmonious aspect to the pitfalls. Because guess what? The divinity that we're talking about, it was literally the first thing I said. It was literally the first thing I said. All of this stuff right here is all encompassing. So think about that. The A and B are just dualities. But in your subconscious, you know if you're on the path or not. Because think about it. When I was eating like shit the last 2 weeks, I knew I wasn't on the path. When I fasted for 60 days, I grocery shopped super healthy today. I ate super clean. I worked out. I'm on the path. So this comes full circle back to what I said, where it's not about knowing. It's about being. Or you have to be this person. And you're following an energetic feeling. You're following an energetic feeling. Yes, 60 hours, not 60 days. Only 60 hours. I would look a lot more frail. Look less big. Okay. Is this making sense, ladies and gentlemen? Let me know. Let me know. Now, something Dr. David R. Hawkins likes to say is, your mind seeks pleasure and it avoids pain. Gabriella, Shelley says, my triggers are halt, hungry, angry, lonely, tired. I'll build off of that. So, your mind seeks pleasure and avoids pain. This is the experiencer function. This is the ego's function. It's not the true self. It's a survival tool mistaken for identity. It's a survival tool mistaken for identity. So if you have survival mechanisms as a biological being and your ego has developed survival mechanisms, you are thinking it's your identity when it's not. It's not your true self. It's just a function. It's just a biological function. Real freedom comes from seeing the mechanism and refusing to let it run the show. That's what Jeff's saying. Jeff said, be careful what we give our energy to. Exactly. Real freedom comes from seeing the mechanism and refusing to let it run the show. Now, this is going to be one of the last things we touch on. Gabriella. So, Gabriella, what I would have to say about this, and one, congratulations on your growth, but this might help a lot of people listening, is if we feel like we are victims to some things, it's because we are the victim and the assailant. We're saying, they are evil, I'm the victim. They are the ones doing this to me. So technically, we are still the ones choosing to attach to the experience. Exactly. You already get it. Looks like that's what you just said. You had an experience with a narcissist, but then I learned we can only see what we have inside of us. Exactly. So it's something you need to heal with yourself, not others. Like, think about it. If you don't have anything that needs to be validated by anyone else, like, I don't go hang out with anyone expecting them to stroke my ego or validate me. If they say some shit and take some shots at me, I'm like, cool. That's all you. If you feel the need to say something negative, you are in a lower state of consciousness, and it has to do with your projection. This is your guys' goal. Present moment mastery. Spiritual practice is like surfing. You can't control the wave. You cannot control the wave. You ride it. This is what surrender is. You're going with the flow. Life's taking its course regardless of what you do to try and control it. And the only way you can ride the wave to the best of your ability is by staying in the present moment. Think about it. If you are living in a distorted reality, you would be living in a distorted reality if you're making projections about a scary future event, or you're making judgments upon a past that no longer exists. That is a distorted reality. And when you have a distorted reality, you see the wave in a distorted way. So then you're not going to be able to properly write it. Your goal is to surrender thoughts as they arise and stay in the field of awareness. Think about it. That silence right there. No thought, no mind. No thought, no mind. A present moment state of awareness. Yes, Gabriella. Life doesn't disappoint us. It's much better than what we expect. Thank you, Gabriella. You are doing my job. Beautifully said. That's exactly what it is. Life is better than we expect when we trust the process and we do not force it. All right, ladies and gentlemen, drop a 1 if you got something out of that. Drop a 1 if you got something out of that live stream. If you're going to do more to trust the process, to ride the waves, exactly, Jeff. Don't break the flow. That's the point. It's not your job to worry about how. You only break the flow when you worry about how. It's not your job to worry about how. Because you're like, how is this going to happen? So you're placing your attention on B when holding the flow is staying in the state of A. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you once again for another great live stream. This is Spidey signing off. Until we meet again, I'll see you in the next one. Peace.